Good day, everyone. Welcome to Sipnayan 7. For today, we will be having quarter 1, week number 8. By the way, I am Ma'am Lovely Rose D. Bamba, a Mathematics 7 teacher from Bagumbong High School, and I will be your teacher facilitator for today. That's why, without further ado, let's now have the objectives. First is to define real numbers and its subsets. Second, identify to which subset a given number belongs. Next, arrange real numbers in increasing or decreasing order, followed by comparing real numbers, and of course, locate the real numbers on the number line. All right, dear students. So before we dig deeper on our discussion for today, I would like you to meet some individuals. Okay, you can now see on your screen the picture of my family. Yes, you are right. They are actually my family. You can see our family picture there. My parents, my younger brother, and then my younger sister. So, dear students, I believe that we all have our own family. Or, let's say, you have those individuals whom you are not blood related, but you consider as your own family. But, again, always remember that doesn't change the fact that those people will always be the one who will be there for us in everything that we do, who will always support us, and who will always love us unconditionally. That's why it shows how important our family is. Kaya nga naman, it's not just us who have our own family. Why? Because in mathematics, we have this mathematical concept wherein it do have its own family. And that would be our topic for today, the family of real numbers, or the so-called subset of real numbers. Let us now discuss one by one the family of real numbers. But dear students, what really are real numbers? If you will try to search it, there will be a lot of complex definitions for real numbers. But in simpler terms, real numbers are actually those numbers which can be found on this figure. Yes, real numbers are those numbers which can be found on the number line. Any number that you can plot on a number line is considered as a real number. And this diagram actually shows the summary of the family of real numbers. So it can be divided into two categories, the rational numbers and the irrational numbers. Under the rational numbers, we have integers, whole numbers, and natural numbers. And we will be discussing them one by one. Let us start with natural numbers. Natural numbers are also known as counting numbers. From the name itself, you use them in counting. You use them when you count. That's why it is denoted by the capital letter N, and it starts with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on and so forth. Next, we also have the so-called whole numbers. How does a whole number differ from a natural number? Learners, whole numbers are just actually the combination of 0 and then the counting number. So technically, the difference between a whole number and a natural number is just the presence of 0. In symbols, we use capital letter W, and it is when we denote it in roster method, we start with 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on and so forth. And from the name itself, it should be whole No fractions, no decimals. Next, we also have the so-called integers. Integers, those are the positive numbers, 0, and then the negative numbers. Fractions and decimals still are not allowed. And how do we denote integers in symbols? We use this capital letter Z. Actually, this is how we write it. Okay? So whenever you see that symbol, meaning it denotes integers. And, of course, we have the rational numbers, which is denoted by capital letter Q. Again, it is denoted using this symbol when written. From the name itself, it can be expressed as a quotient of two integers or as a ratio of two integers. In short, you can write it in fraction form. So that's why it can be in fraction, but it can also be in decimal form. Just note or just remember that if it is in decimal, it should be terminating or non-terminating but repeating. Non-terminating, repeating. Okay? So those are the conditions for a decimal to be considered as a rational number. But, of course, we also have the so-called irrational numbers. In symbols, similar with rational number, the only difference is the presence of that apostrophe. And again, we do not read it as Q apostrophe, but we read it as Q prime. Okay? So, meaning, an irrational number are those which cannot be expressed as a ratio of two integers. Hindi mo siya pwedeng isulat as a fraction. But, it can be in decimal form, but make sure that those decimals should be non-terminating and non-repeating. Okay? Non-terminating and non-repeating. So, dear students, those are the family of real numbers. And let us have more examples of the family of real numbers or the subsets of real numbers. So on this figure, which can actually be found on your module, you can see examples of each subset of real numbers. Let's start with the natural and counting numbers. So, ayan na nga, we have 1, 2, 3, and so on and so forth. All numbers that you use in counting are considered natural numbers. Next, whole numbers. Whole numbers, similar as natural numbers, but with the presence of 0. Next, integers. You can see the negative numbers and the positive numbers together with 0. And of course, the rational numbers. We have here negative numbers, mga integers, whole numbers, counting numbers. You can now see decimals. But ito na yung sinasabi natin kanina na condition. Non-terminating siya, but it should be repeating. Paulit-ulit. Teacher, I can see radicals. Square root of 100. Yes, it is rational. Why? Because 100 is a perfect square. And the square root of 100 is 10. Okay? The same thing with the square root of 9. Okay? Negative 5 over 6, 1/2, and so on and so forth. While on the other hand, irrational numbers, we have here pi, the symbol e, square root of 2, square root of 17. These radicals, as you can realize, the radicals are not perfect square. You cannot express it as a fraction. So basically, dear students, this summarizes the family of real numbers together with their examples. I think you are now ready to have an activity. Let us all together math to class. Tayo ay mag-math to class na, dear students. So here, I have five different items, five different real numbers, and all you have to do is to identify if it is counting, if it is a counting number, a whole number, an integer, a rational, or an irrational number. You need to put a heart symbol on any category that the given number falls in. You have 10 seconds for each item. Let's start. Let's have negative 7. Negative 7. Kindly choose its category. Your timer starts now. Alright, so negative 7, that falls under integer. If you answered integer, you got it correctly. But of course, if it is an integer, it is also a rational number. Very good for those who got it correctly. Next, let's have negative 2 over 15. In which category will this given fall into? 10 seconds. Time is up. So negative 2 over 15 is actually a rational number. Very good. Third item. How about this decimal number? Ano kaya ito? 10 seconds, dear students. Okay, so since the given decimal is non-terminating and at the same time non-repeating, therefore, this example is irrational. If you answered irrational, you got it correctly. Next, how about the number 0? 10 seconds. I think 10 seconds is more than enough, and 0 is actually a whole number. That is correct. But remember, if you mark the whole number, you should also mark integer and the rational number. And the last one, square root of 94. 10 seconds, go! And time is up. Square root of 94. Is 94 a perfect square? Teacher, no. Therefore, square root of 94 is irrational. Count the number of correct items. If you got a perfect score, you did a good job. If not, you can always try to review our lesson or review the video earlier. Okay, so let us now proceed to the second topic of the day, and that is about arranging, comparing, and locating real numbers. But first, kindly consider the situation. I have your three friends, namely Lee Jong-suk, Song Joong-ki, and Park Seo-joon. So Park Seo-joon lives 4 kilometers away from the school, so going to the right. While on the other hand, Lee Jong-suk lives 7 kilometers from the school, but going to the left. And Song Joong-ki lives 2 kilometers away from Park Seo-joon. So meaning, Park Seo-joon 4 kilometers, Song Joong-ki 2 kilometers farther from Park Seo-joon, so 6 kilometers, and Lee Jong-suk 7 kilometers away from the school. If you'll realize, this situation actually represents the so-called number line. Okay? This number line will be very helpful in our discussion for today. So let's dig deeper, or let's describe deeper what a number line is. So on our situation earlier, the school is the point of origin, or it is represented as 0. Okay? So doon nanggaling yung tatlong magkakaibigan. Okay? While Park Sojun and Song Joong-ki lives at the right side of the school, or at the right side of the point of origin. And those numbers at the right side of 0 are called positive numbers. So, Park Sojun, 4, and Song Joong-ki, 6. While on the other hand, Lee Jung-suk lives on the left side of the school, wherein on this number line, those numbers at the left side of 0 are called negative numbers. So therefore, Lee Jong-suk is at negative 7. So basically, we can actually plot points on a number line. So we can plot or locate real numbers on a number line as long as we know where should we place them. But how are we really going to do that? Of course, in order for you to do that, you should be able to learn how to compare real numbers. Like in this figure, we have different given real numbers. We can easily identify which is bigger or which is smaller. Why? Because the real numbers are already plotted on the number line. Always remember that on the number line, the value increases from left to right. Therefore, it is always true that the value on the left is always smaller than the value on the right. Like for example, 5 and 6. 5 is definitely smaller than 6. Negative 9 and negative 8. On negative numbers, negative 9 is really smaller than negative 8. So from the given set of real numbers, since they are already plotted on the number line, I can easily say that negative 9.5 is the smallest real number from the given, and the square root of 92 is the biggest real number out of all the given. But if you will also notice, the given real numbers are all in different forms. There are some in decimal form. We also have some in radical forms. And we also have those in fractional forms. So how are we going to determine or to locate or arrange real numbers if they are in different forms? There, the concept of learning how to compare real numbers will come into place. Okay, so we should know how will we be able to compare real numbers. How will we know which is bigger, which is smaller, or are they equal from each other? That's why we will be having another math class activity. Are you ready? If yes, all you have to do is to compare the real number on the left to the real number on the right. Are they less than, greater than, or equal to each other? Let's start. The first item. The first item on our math class activity. Negative 100 blank 12. 5 seconds. If you answered less than, you got it correctly. Definitely, negative 100 is smaller than 12. Next, 7500s, blank 3/4, 5 seconds. Alright, if you answered equal, they are correct, or you are correct. Very good. Next, how about this? Square root of 20. You should know how to estimate radicals up to the nearest hundreds. Blank 4. 5 seconds. Alright, definitely square root of 20 is greater or bigger than 4. And how about this? 5 seconds. 52/5 is more than 10 already. Therefore, it should be less than. So the one on the left is less than to the real number to the right. Okay? Now, I can see that you are already familiar on how do we compare real numbers, or how do we determine which is bigger or which is smaller among the given set of real numbers. So now we will be arranging the given real numbers. So on this case, the instruction tells us to arrange the given set in increasing order. When we say increasing, from smallest to the largest. Okay. So in this case, we start with the smallest. So you chose the negative numbers. Okay. So the smallest among the negative numbers is negative 8. Okay, followed by, if you're thinking of negative 3, that's correct. Next, negative 2, followed by 5, and followed by 12. So that is how we arrange the given set of real numbers. Okay, next, how about this? We have your square root of 50, 5, negative 8, negative 9, and positive 10. Okay, so again, start with the smallest one, negative 8 and negative 9. So negative 9 is smaller than negative 8. Square root of 25. Square root of 25 is between the square root of 49, square root of 49 and the square root of 64. So meaning square root of 50 is more than 7. Okay, approximately more than 7. Therefore, you will write 5 first, square root of 50, and then 10. Okay? So it is very important that you know how to convert radicals or fractions into decimal form. Okay? For you to have, or for it to for the activity to be easier for you. Okay? Next, how about this one? Negative 0.33, of course, in increasing, start with the smallest one, the negative number, 12, 34, pi, and 94. I think, or I believe that pi, pi, that should be 3.14. Okay, so I have your negative 0.33, pi, 12, 34, and then 94. So in increasing order, from smallest, increasing, smallest to largest. Teacher, how about in decreasing? Of course, you do the opposite. Okay? Pag decreasing, start from the largest, going to the smallest. You just do the reverse of this one. Okay? So that's how easy to arrange real numbers. Okay? Let us now plot the given set in a number line. So you learned how to compare, you learned how to arrange. You will now be able to learn how to plot those real numbers in the number line. So like for this example, we have here square root of 50, 5, negative 8, negative 9, and 10. Whenever there's a given in radical or fractional form, you can always try to rewrite it or to convert it into decimal form. Okay, we had this earlier, and we know that the square root of 50 is between square root of 49 and then the square root of 64. Okay, therefore, square root of 50 is approximately more than 7. Okay, so if we will be writing this on a number line, say this is 0. So we have here, let's say I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This is negative 8. This is negative 9. Okay, negative 9, negative 8. Then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have here positive 5, 6, 7. Square root of 50 is more than 7, 8. So is uh, square root of 50 closer than 49 or closer than 64? 50 is closer than 49. Therefore, this should be closer to 7. And then, of course, 9. And then 10. So that's how we plot the given set on a number line. Absorb. And of course, how about this one? So we have here negative 0.33, 2, 12, pi, and 7. We do the same thing. Start with a negative. So we have here negative 0.33. It's between 0 and negative 1. It's definitely closer to 0. So that's negative 0.33. 1, 2, okay. Pi is 3.14. So it's between 3 and 4. It's definitely closer to 3. 5, 6, 7. And let's say we just reach 12 over here. Okay. So let's say this is 12. Okay. So 7. But on your notebooks, you need to plot it really well. If the real numbers are too far, you can do the skip counting. Let's say on your number line, it's by 5s, by 10s, and so on. Okay. As long as it's coherent to each other. Okay. Constant yung numbering mo. Okay. So that's how we plot real numbers on a number line. Okay. So those are the topics that we have discussed for today. We discussed the subsets or the family of real numbers, starting from counting numbers, whole numbers, integers, rational, and irrational numbers. I just want to emphasize, okay, remember that all counting are rational, all whole numbers are rational, all integers are rational. In short, okay, all counting are whole are integers, all integers are rational, but it's not the other way around. Remember that, ha? Not all rational are integers. Not all integers are whole. Not all whole are counting. Okay? It's going from left to right. And irrational numbers. And of course, we also learned how to arrange, compare, and locate real numbers. These are the references for today. And if you have any questions, feel free to message me. Okay po? That's my email. And it's lovely to meet all of you for today. Thank you so much. And that's it for quarter one, week number 8. Goodbye and thank you, dear students.